welcome to another episode of Nightcap. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 8th episode, or the 8th edition. So, welcome back to the table of two stuffed animals. And these two stuffed animals, one of them I'm gonna represent. I'm gonna be the panda bear. So, well, actually, I'm gonna be both the panda bear and the white bear, two stuffed animals. Yeah, I'm using this picture to do another episode of Nightcap. But who cares about the picture? Is all about what I'm about to talk about in this video. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. I was just digging around for my Apple iPad or Apple iPad Mini. Okay, this is related to some past videos that I did on this channel. Well, not that long ago, about a couple of months ago. Yeah, I'm going to mention these videos after I get done reading what I'm about to read. And it's all about Winston Wu and Happier Abroad, and Winston's view on things here in the United States of America. Yeah, the lack of social or human connection. Everybody's segregated, isolated, paranoid, and fake. It's hard to make any normal friends here. And the only way you're going to talk to somebody is through business-related purposes. And it's all about working, doing business, and following the rules. Okay, let me go ahead and read this. Winston Wu, the founder of Happier Abroad Forum and Community, characterizes American women and Western social culture as heavily militaristic, cold, hypercritical, and emotionally repressed, arguing that people in the U.S. are unusually unfriendly and guarded compared to people in other parts of the world. Views on American culture and social interpersonal dynamics. American women. Wu claims that women in America are conditioned to be entitled, hostile to natural courtship, and overly influenced by feminism, which he believes demoralizes ordinary male attention. Cold and dismissive behavior. He frequently criticizes American social isolation, where individuals ignore others, display coldness during basic interactions, and lack commendable warmth. Private and hypocritical figures. He views insular, hyper-private individuals who act as online or offline gatekeepers, putting others down or policing how adults, such as those in their 40s, choose to live or express themselves, as toxic products of a repressive domestic culture. Perspectives on Pacific social phenomenon. Defenders of aggressive behavior. Wu generally views men in America who aggressively defend rude female behavior and label critics as misogynistic, as brainwashed by mainstream cultural conditioning, or desperate for a validation. Elliot Rodger. While mainstream society and psychological profiles view Elliot Rodger as a deeply disturbed, misogynistic mass murderer, fringe online manosphere spaces have debated or discredited such figures through the lens of extreme alienation. Wu's broader philosophy focuses on leaving the U.S., going abroad to escape dating frustration rather than endorsing violence, maintaining that systematic cultural unhappiness should be solved by changing location rather than internalizing toxic rage. Patriotic rhetoric of freedom and liberty. Wu often views the constant, loud vilification of freedom and liberty by patriotic Americans as hollow political slogans that mask a society that is actually heavily socially repressed, conformist, and miserable in its day-to-day interpersonal lives. Okay, and after reading all of this, this is true. This hits home, and it does. Okay, I'm gonna pick something out, and it's related to some videos that I did. Okay, defenders of aggressive behavior. Wu generally views men in America who aggressively defend rude female behavior and label critics as misogynistic as brainwashed by mainstream cultural conditioning or desperate for a validation. Yeah, I did some videos about some American women, two of them. Well, I did a video on two American women. One accused a black man of stealing her son's phone, and the other accused a teenager, the son of a man, or a black man, of stealing her phone. And their behavior was aggressive. Their behavior was rude. Their behavior was very, very rude and disrespectful. And I criticized both of them in that video that I did about them. And two men came onto my channel and said everything that I said was misogynistic. And it says here that men like that who defend American women who display rude behavior as and label critics, which I was a critic, as misogynistic, as brainwashed by mainstream cultural conditioning, or desperate for a validation. I think those two men who called me misogynistic are either brainwashed by mainstream cultural conditioning or desperate for validation. I think it's one or just both. Yeah, and those men are basically white knights, Captain Save-A-Hoes, simps, blue pill men who don't know any better. Little boys who want some sex from women and girls here in the United States, which is really, really sad. And I'm not going to defend a woman who's rude to people, who's not feminine, sweet, down to earth, gentle, easy to talk to, and approachable. I'm not going to defend a woman who doesn't have those traits. But if I say stuff like this, they will call me misogynistic. So, I really don't care what they think. So, yeah. And I'm going to tell the truth about myself. Well, yeah, I'll defend a woman if she's sweet and kind and nice, and she's honest and she's a good person. I'll defend her. But if she's rude and disrespectful and has no class, then I'm not going to defend her. Same thing with men. I mean, men who are good and decent, I'm going to respect them. I'm going to defend them. Men who are bad, no good, I'm not going to respect them at all. and that's how I am, and that's how I think. Okay, all right, Elliot Rodger. Yeah, Elliot Rodger, who was the mastermind behind the Isla Vista mass shooting in Santa Barbara, California. I think back in 2014. He went and killed people because he felt that women at this college that he went to wasn't interested in him and didn't give him the time of day, and yeah, and they just ignored him. And he was sitting at a table, I guess, at some restaurant at a college or university that he went to in Santa Barbara, California, and he was expecting a woman to come up to him and sit next to him and talk to him, and that never happened. Yeah, and that drove him off the deep end, and he did rebuttal videos on his YouTube channel, and he did a video talked about all women at the college that he went to must suffer, and that went into toxic rage of killing innocent people. Okay, I'm gonna read this again about Elliot Rodger. While mainstream society and psychological profiles view Elliot Rodger as a deeply disturbed, misogynistic mass murderer, fringe online manosphere spaces have debated or discredited such figures through the lens of an extreme alienation. Elliot Rodger was alienated and ignored by women at the college that he went to because he wanted love from a woman. He wanted a girlfriend. Wu's broader philosophy focuses on leaving the U.S., going abroad to escape dating frustration rather than endorsing violence. Yeah, Winston Wu suggests people who are going to be another Elliot Rodger by stopping them and telling them that going abroad to escape dating frustration in America is better than going on a violent mass shooting rampage and killing innocent people. If Elliot Rodger discovered Winston Wu's YouTube channel and online forum of Happier Abroad, he would go on overseas and find that special someone, and all those people that he shot and killed would be saved. But some critics say that if Elliot Rodger went overseas to friendlier cultures where people are down to earth, easy to talk to, and the women are sweet, feminine, down to earth, and easy to talk to, and approachable, and they don't judge a man by how he looks. They just judge a man for who he is on the inside. They view that if he goes to that country, a country like that outside the U.S., he will do the exact same thing that he did at Isla Vista in Santa Barbara, California, which is total and absolute BS. Bullshit. A big, huge bag of bullshit. Covered in semen. Okay, yeah. Also, about Elliot Rodger, maintaining that systematic cultural happiness should be solved by changing location rather than internalizing toxic rage. So Elliot Rodger and men in the future who are going to do an Elliot Rodger or be Elliot Rodger 2.0, they can maintain that systematic. They don't have to maintain that systematic cultural unhappiness, and they can solve their problems by changing their location, by moving out of the U.S. / leaving the United States and living in a foreign country where they can be happy, where they can make friends and find that special lady, and they can be around, a lot of sweet, feminine, down to earth, easy to talk to, and approachable women and girls who will give him the time of day, who will talk to him. Who will connect with him along with those down to earth, sociable people, and he will get a phone number from those women and girls. Yeah, and after they give him his give him their phone number, they will say this to him: "Call me, and we can meet up somewhere." Yeah. So it will be a win-win situation for an Elliot Rodger or any Elliot Rodger frustrated, alienated man, heterosexual man in the United States of America. It will be a win-win situation for these people if they just leave the U.S. and travel abroad or move abroad to a foreign country that is a million times better than the U.S. of A. Okay, I'm gonna read. Okay, patriotic rhetoric of freedom and liberty. Yeah, these patriotic Americans here in the United States, they go on and on and on and on and on about the U.S. Constitution, all the amendments in it, the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment, and freedom and liberty, and they talk about the U.S. Constitution is keeping you together, and you live in a country with so much freedom. The United States of America is the only country in the world that has a lot of freedom, and those other countries outside the United States don't have any freedom. Yeah, and their argument is basically hollow political slogans that mask a society that is actually heavily socially repressed, conformist, and miserable in its day-to-day interpersonal lives. Because you can go to any setting, in any place, in any state in the United States, and you see people who work at corporate jobs like Walmart, Dollar General, Family Dollar, others, Target, Best Buy, and you see some of the people, they're miserable, they're angry, they're not happy. And you got barbers, like female barbers and hair salon stylists, they're miserable and they're not happy. So all this talk about, all this patriotic rhetoric of freedom and liberty from these patriotic Americans is just, like it says, it's just hollow political slogans. And all of this is from Winston Wu, the founder of Happier Abroad. Yep. And, they say that, they'll tell, these patriotic Americans will tell people here in the United States, teachers at schools, that tell children in economic class, math class, world history, any class that they take in high school, they will tell the students that they live in the greatest country in the world that has a lot of freedom. Yeah, and these patriotic Americans, they will get on top of a mountaintop and chant the word freedom over and over and over and over and over again like a brain-dead, malfunctioning robot. And you have the freedom to work. You have the freedom to go bankrupt over medical bills. All of that makes no sense. and the logic of these patriotic Americans on freedom doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to Winston Wu because their hollow political slogans have no explanation, no bearings, no nothing. Yeah. And instead, they just chant freedom and go on and on and on about the founding fathers. The founding fathers, a bunch of dead people who are buried underground by dirt. They're in the ground, and they are at a cemetery wherever they're buried at. Like, these guys been dead for like 400 to 500 to 600 years. They've been dead for centuries upon centuries upon centuries. And these brain dead patriotic Americans, they just go on and on and on. They talk very highly of the founding fathers. And like they act like the founding fathers are angels / gods who can't do no wrong. And when they crafted the U.S. Constitution, they made a lot of mistakes. In sentences, when they write something down, they like to put a lot of commas down, and it shows that their Senate structure was really bad. But these patriotic Americans don't care. They just praise these guys through the roof. And plus, they own slaves, and they did. I think John Adams or whoever, like they own slaves. Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. So like, how can these guys be all about freedom and they own slaves? Yeah, I just don't get it, and I don't. I hope you guys can hear me. I hope I'm not cutting in and out. So okay. Going back to Elliot Rodger, and this is connected to him and what I'm reading. Okay, about American women. Wu claims that women in America are conditioned to be entitled, hostile to natural courtship, and overly influenced by feminism, which is believed demoralizes ordinary male attention. Yeah, like I think this has nothing to do with him. It has something to do with Elliot Rodgers a little bit, and that's why Elliot Rodger was frustrated and miserable, and went on that mass shooting spree at Isla Vista College in Santa Barbara, California. Okay, women are entitled, hostile to natural courtship, or overly influenced by feminism. Yeah, which he believes demoralizes ordinary male attention. Ordinary male attention. Okay, if a man looks at a woman, in America, the woman will view it as creepy and weird. Like, a man just looks at a woman and he likes how she looks. Like, if she's beautiful / gorgeous and cute, due to her, like, if she has a short haircut or long hair, or the outfits that she wears, she'll be viewed as cute and beautiful / gorgeous by that man, and she will view it as like creepy and weird, and view it as sexual harassment. And there's some men out there who runs around and sexually harass women, but not all men are like this, and I'm not like that at all. So like, it's insane to label every man as creeps, weirdos, and pedophiles and perverts, and think every man is Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Jeffrey Epstein, R. Kelly, and others, P. Diddy. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Puff Pop, wherever he calls himself. Yeah, yeah, and it's crazy. Okay, all right. Private and hypocritical figures. He views insular, hyper private individuals who act as online or offline gatekeepers, putting others down or policing how adults, such as those in their 40s, choose to live or express themselves as talks as a repressive domestic culture. Um, yeah, yeah, you got these people in their 40s, and I said this in a previous video on the 13th edition of Radio New Manchester. You got these you got these people out there who gave up the party life, who gave up listening to the music that they listened to in clubs, and they did porn, all kinds of stuff that they did that I said in that previous video. Um, yeah, they changed, they grew up, and they want to be mentors, and they want to they want to go through personal growth and strength, or Native American strength. And some of them go around and they put people down in their 40s who still do the things that they used to do, and they put them down and they rip them apart and they view them as nobodies. And you know it's none of my business what people like that do. What they do is their business, as long as they're not bothering anybody. And these people who are hyper private individuals, who are insular, who act as online or offline gatekeepers on how a 40 something year old person should act, you know, they don't have the right to put these people down. And and they do this because they're insecure. And I used to sub to a person here on YouTube. I used to sub to their channel, and they used to, and they're like that. And yeah, what these people do is their business. And I'm not gonna cast judgment on them. If a 40-year-old person wants to channel their inner youth or young self, they have the right to do that. And they can do that in a foreign country outside the United States. Because I view the United States as a reactionary, right wing, conservative, capitalistic society. And I've been watching something of democratic socialist candidates winning political races for like congressman, senator, a mayor of a city. Yeah, yeah, they might change the United States, but it's an uphill battle, in what they want to push, like universal health care or Medicare for all, or strong social safety nets that countries in Europe have for their citizens. All that will be blocked by conservatives here in the United States. And what's the point in trying to change a country, change the United States? The United States is going to stay the way it is, and there's nothing people like AOC or others like her can do about it. I'm not trying to put them down, but and I'm not. It's just a losing battle. If they want to keep fighting, be my guest. But you ain't gonna win. You might win, you might not win. I don't know. So I'm not here to put them down. They're fighting for a cause. They're fighting to make the United States a better country. But everything that they're gonna do is gonna be blocked and pushed to the side. Okay. All right. And I think that's about it. All right. Thank you for watching this latest edition of Nightcap, episode number 8, or the 8th edition. Nightcap. All right, that's all I gotta say. Cheers and au revoir. Merci, merci beaucoup. Au revoir, take care, be safe, bye.